Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So these are my 5 tips for how not to be a narcissist. So I've chosen these 5 because I've been guilty of all these 5 in the past. And I didn't want it to be a video just about me talking about other people, but things that I've done wrong in the past, and things that I've made steps to correct. Though of course, I do not, I do not excel in these things 100% of the time. But I have made steps and tried to change myself after realizing that these things were problems. Definitely don't get them right 100% of the time, that's for sure. So tip number 1 is because someone is good at something and you are not, don't dismiss it. Just because somebody's good at math or football or they're just better at, maybe you're at the same job and they're just better at their job in general. Don't dismiss it. Don't try to say, oh, okay, this is the reason that they are. It's not actually because they're better at it, or don't dismiss their skill. Say that there's something wrong with them if they're that good at it, something like that. Don't dismiss that, or just don't dismiss football as a sport just because you're not good at it, just because you're not interested in that sport, or just because you're not good at math. And God knows I'm not good at math. Don't dismiss those who are, and don't dismiss their skill or the necessity and the value of that skill. If we're not especially intelligent in certain subjects, or we're just not good at athletics or something like that, don't dismiss these things. Just because we don't have interest in them and we're not good at them, that doesn't mean that these things don't have value or can't be productive or aren't good for some people. It's just not our thing, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be our thing. And if somebody has the same job as you and they're just better at it, you can think about how you could get better at it, or just talk to them as a person. But mainly, don't dismiss them being better at it, or their commitment, or their drive. Don't dismiss that. I've done that in the past, and I should not have. So don't dismiss something that somebody else is good at, whether it be just naturally more athletic, more intelligent in this or that way, or just they have a natural willpower, natural motivation, natural drive that we don't. Because God knows I've lacked in willpower and motivation at many points in my life. And I've dismissed people who had more drive, more motivation to do things, to either do what they're good at or to just drive to excel. If we don't have that drive, and we shouldn't dismiss somebody who does. And if we want that drive, if we want that motivation, that willpower to do what we actually want to do, or to push towards our goals, if we want that, then work towards it. Don't dismiss other people. Willpower cannot be given. It can only be forged. That's one thing. You can be born naturally smart. You can be born naturally athletic. But I think that everybody has to forge their own willpower, their own motivation to do things. If you feel like you lack in motivation, work towards that. That's something that we definitely can change for ourselves. We can't necessarily increase our IQ. We can't necessarily, we can train to become more athletic or good in certain subjects and smarter in certain subjects. But willpower is something everybody has to give themselves, and we have to work at that. And in terms of athletics, I remember reading this biography of this weightlifter who was born with like his chest was just naturally kind of sunken in, not given to building muscle. His legs were bowed. Really hard to build muscle in your legs if your legs are like that, but he worked so hard at it that he still became a professional bodybuilder, a successful one, because he worked hard even with his disadvantage. If we feel like we have a disadvantage in athletics or intelligence or willpower or motivation, we can still work towards what we really want to do and improve ourselves in those ways. Very important. So tip number 2 is listen to people. Don't think you are the only one who has something worth saying. Now, I have been known to cut people off and to talk at length at people rather than to people. Now, there's a difference between talking at somebody than to them. If you're listening to somebody and you might respond with your own experience, or you could comment on their experience, be like, oh, that's really interesting, and then ask them about that experience more. It's not always interjecting saying, this is my experience after they say their experience. You could ask them more questions about their experience or a subject. You can ask them questions rather than just waiting your turn or waiting to say your experience. You can ask them questions. You can care about what they have to say. And now sometimes you have to work at caring what they're saying. But if you try at it, eventually it will work. You will start caring if you don't already. But it's very important to let people speak, to listen to them, and not just wait your turn, which I have failed at in the past for sure. Tip number 2. It's okay to not be intrinsic to reality. You don't have to be somebody important. You don't have to be great. You don't have to be the person who succeeds all the time. In the past, with schizophrenia, a lot of the time, the reason we're not just with schizophrenia, but a schizophrenia is an example. Sometimes we feel like we're such at the center of our reality that everybody is watching or listening or judging us because we're so intrinsic. That's the hidden side to paranoia. In reality, most people don't give a damn. They're not. They're not listening. They're not looking at us, and they're not judging us the vast majority of the time. But that's a little hurdle for schizophrenics. But as well for a lot of people, we like to think that we're a bigger piece. We're better than the rest of humanity in some way. We're more virtuous. We're more loving. We're more kind. We're more compassionate. Everybody is so mean. Everybody is so uncompassionate. Everybody is so materialistic. But we're out of place in this world because, man, we're just not like that. It's not always true when we dig deep down. Sometimes it goes back into that dismissal. People have things that we don't. People are motivated when we're not. People are athletic or more intelligent than us when we're not. And to mask that, we like to say, I'm more spiritual, I'm more compassionate, I'm more kind. What's wrong with society? What's wrong with this world? What's wrong with the government? What's wrong with religion? Those are all ways that the ego hides itself to make us better than other people. Because a lot of the time, people like us, spiritual or schizophrenic or loners, we don't have everything that people have. We're not like them. So we have to make what they are somehow worse than what we are. We're more loving, they're not. Something like that. I've done this a lot in the past. I'm getting better at it. But really, I realized I was just hiding my ego and trying to make up for the fact that I didn't have as much as other people did, or I valued those things. Other people had them and I didn't. And I tried to figure out why. And the knee-jerk reaction is to be like, okay, well, I'm better spiritually, and I'm better, in my kindness or something like that. And, their materialistic stuff doesn't really matter. Ego can hide behind spirituality and compassion as well. We got to be careful about that. And this is something that I've done in the past. Not calling out other people. This is something that I've been guilty of in the past. Thinking that because I'm more spiritual, I'm better than society. It's not exactly the case. Because when you dig deep down and you really look to why you think that, and even if you value compassion and love more, if you dig deep down in yourself, ask yourself, why do I believe this? Even if your belief is right, the whys of it are 50% of the battle. You can be right 100% of the time, but why you're right, why you chose that, is just as important as being compassionate, be loving. Why did you come to that conclusion? Very important to consider. So the fourth point is our virtues are not the virtues of others. This kind of goes into the compassion and kindness thing a little bit. But let's say, I have the virtue of compassion. I have the virtue of not eating meat, not consuming dairy now. I have the virtue of trying to uplift people. I have the virtue of trying to work towards my more long-term dreams, continuing my book, things like that. That's good. I mean, those things aren't necessarily bad, but we shouldn't put our virtues as higher than the virtues of others. Sometimes virtues are just different. A lot of the time they're chosen. If somebody's a complete dick, sometimes our virtues are just different. It's not that our virtues, our internal commandments, are better. It's just that they're different. Like like even something like not having sex. Like, I mean, that's good, but that can just be like for a person. It doesn't have to be something that we view everybody else as being bad because they have frivolous sex or maybe even sex without love, something like that. It doesn't have to be bad. We don't have to do it, but it doesn't have to be bad. People don't have to be worse for doing it. And then we have to ask ourselves, why do we have this view? Is it because we're just not good at it, or is it because it just doesn't come naturally to us? We're not a romantic person. Why did we come to hold that as well? Or why did we come to hold not to drink? I still drink. I'm trying to cut back, but why I hold that? Just because I view that as a virtue of me working towards, because I've realized that it just kind of numbs me. It doesn't improve the experience of my life. It's just deadening my mind and my hurt emotions. If drink does that, I've decided that it's a virtue to drink less and to eventually not drink. That doesn't mean people who drink are bad. That doesn't mean, and when I finally stop drinking, that doesn't mean I'm going to think that they're bad, or at least I hope not. I'm still working on these things, but that doesn't mean that they're bad because they drink. It's okay. That could be my virtue. It doesn't have to be theirs. So number 5 is be able to take constructive criticism. So there are many reactions to constructive criticism, and I'm naming constructive criticism because I'm referring to specifically that. Not any criticism, not mean criticism or like somebody trying to be mean to you, but somebody trying to give you advice, somebody trying to say, hey, look, why do you do this? Or, have you thought about this? Somebody just, a friend, a family member, just trying to give you advice. Somebody who is a friend. And some family members are just mean, but I suppose a family member who is, actually being a family member. Being able to take constructive criticism. So if somebody says, why do you sleep this much? How many hours a day do you play games and watch TV or movies that don't really do anything for you besides entertain you? Why do you do that for so many hours a day? Or why did you stop lifting weights? For me, for instance, why haven't you got back on it? Laziness. And I realize that. And I do. And for me as well, I do spend too much time. I mean, I work and I have a YouTube channel. It's kind of summer break for school. But these are all, kind of excuses. Could I cut down my entertainment time? For sure. Could I research, learn, read books, listen to audiobooks, exercise, travel into nature? Could I do that more than I do now and cut back on, just entertainment time, watching movies or shows that don't do anything for me besides entertain me? And why am I rejecting everything that I could be doing? A lot of the time we say, oh, that'll make us depressed if, I research this, I learn about this. We'll go back to one of that earlier one. What's the point of lifting weights? It's just people just trying to be intimidating, just trying to be able to be stronger than each other so that they can be more intimidating and masculine and beat other people up. Stuff like that. You hear that a lot. It's a lot of the time we're hiding our own lack of motivation and willpower. We're hiding behind those excuses or those labeling of other people. Or we reject so many things that we could be doing and say, oh, that just depresses me, or, I can do that later, or I've done enough for today. And then we go back to entertainment mode, and then it's just entertainment time. That does nothing for us. You should have a little bit of entertainment time a day. I have a little bit too much in my own evaluation of myself. And I need to be more. I need to pursue my dreams more, write more. I need to meditate a lot more. I need to commit to actually exploring nature to a greater degree like I always love doing. I need to research for this new job coming up. I need to do more research. I need to figure out the ins and outs of the company. I need to figure out, when I'll get my next raise. I need to figure out how I can move up in the company. These are things that I could be researching. But then, I fall back into, entertainment time after I do enough to where I'm like, okay, that's enough for today. No, it's not. Keep on moving forward. Keep on fighting. And this is a message to myself because I have come up lacking many days if not most days in this. And the constructive criticism, a lot of the time that I get, it's either from friends, family members, or it's just my inner guardian angel, my inner conscience being like, do you need this much time to not do anything? And then I don't listen to it because it's right. And there's that deeper part of ourselves that's always telling us. And if we cut it off, if we just cut it off, then you'll never be able to connect to God or the gods. Because that part of yourself, if you're able to take it constructively, that's telling you what you should be doing, then your connection to everything else will be that much greater, because you're making use of your life. And if you make use of your life, as they say, God helps those who help themselves. You'll find connections. You'll find a remarkable ability to move forward if you make use of your life. Once again, this is a message to myself. But if any of these things apply to you, maybe consider them. Take them as constructive criticism. I've kind of made these tips based on things that I've done wrong in the past, because I don't like the idea of me just naming, narcissistic qualities of others or what others have done wrong in the past. But I think that a lot of these apply to most of us. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. These have been 5 tips of how not to be a narcissist. If you like this video at all, hit that thumbs up down there. Feel free to share it wherever you want. If you comment, that also helps out the channel. At any rate, thank you very much for watching, and all of you have a wonderful day.